Eventually, Nessus comes to the rescue and persuades Prill to release the others. They use his bike. Hello and welcome to my review of Ringworld by Larry Niven. This is a 1970 novel, Niven's third, and regarded as something of a classic, winning both the Hugo and Nebula Awards, and explaining both this Masterworks edition and its position in the 100 must-read science fiction novels that I discussed with Ramsey from Rajathon a few weeks back. With 3 direct sequels, Ringworld is also part of Niven's known space extended universe. The hero of the piece is Louis Wu, a space traveller who's celebrating his 200th birthday at the book's outset. This longevity is the product of a substance called booster spice. He decides to extend his landmark birthday by travelling west along the dateline. He does this using teleportation booths, and one such booth is rigged to send him to a meeting with Nessus, an alien from a species called Pearson's Puppeteers. He wants Wu to accompany him on a secret mission. Wu, ready for another trip into space, is keen enough. They enlist Speaker to Animals, a member of an alien race called the Xinti, who have until recently fought many wars with humanity. And after research, they add to the crew Tila Brown, a human whose unique birth circumstances Nessus believes will make her lucky. The 4 of them are briefed on the mission. They'll be travelling on a new advanced spaceship that can travel extraordinarily fast to the giant ring world of the title. This artificial structure encircles a distant sun and is many times bigger than Earth. Its huge size makes it an object of interest to the puppeteers, who are fleeing as a species from an explosion at the galaxy's core and are wary of bumping into a species that might threaten them. Things, as is usually the way in sci-fi, do not go smoothly for the crew. Arriving at the Ringworld, their ship is scouting the planet, which appears to be deserted, when it is mistaken for a meteor and shot down by automated defences designed to protect the planet. They crash near an enormous mountain. Given the damage caused by its crash landing, the efficacy of those defences are open to question, but the crew wanted to explore anyway, so it all works out in a strange sort of way. Perhaps even a lucky sort of way. They decide that they should travel to the edge of the Ringworld, where they expect to find any former spaceports or technology they can use to get home, and they explore on the way. Helping them travel long distances, they have self-sufficient supersonic flying bikes. Their first encounter with sentient life reveals the planet's occupants to be mostly human, who have regressed to a more primitive way of life. In their next encounter, they learn that there are still humans living in the old cities, but they have lost the knowledge that created them and embraced a religion that reveres their creators as gods. After unwittingly committing blasphemy, our 4 travel on and are separated then from Tila by a storm, and their attempts to find her are cut short when they're snagged by an automated traffic police. Confined in the flying police station, they meet Prill, who is also part of a travelling and trading crew who have become stuck on the Ringworld when the civilization there collapsed. They use his bike, the only one not now ruined, to fly the police station back to their ship and tow it up the mountain. Wu believes the mountain will be open at the top and allow them to launch their mostly crippled ship back into space and get them home. Ringworld is, for all intents and purposes, a travel book. In the 3-act structure, the first act introduces the people, the mission, and gets all the exposition out of the way, and then sets up the problem. The second act is then spent travelling to various places, and the discoveries of the things they need kind of fall into their lap, literally in the sense of the monowire they use to tow their ship, but most obviously in the completely random discovery of the map that triggers Lewis's realization of what the mountain is. Perhaps it's because I've seen and read more sci-fi than Lewis, but I worked out what it was as soon as they saw it, eventually, though I didn't realise that they were actually going to tow the ship through it. Once he works out what the mountain actually is, they turn around from their travels and go all the way back. I have mentioned more than once that I'm not really a fan of books that devote so much of their length to travelling for travelling's sake. There are ways to do it, and to do it well. In Mary Elizabeth Braddon's Lady Audley's Secret, the hero is constantly on the go by horse, cart and train, but always in service of his investigation. The travelling gives the second act a breathless quality, but it isn't the total of the second act. Another part of the problem is that once an author puts themselves into the travel book genre, you're in the same genre as Swift, Conrad, Doyle, Tolkien, Burroughs, and you need to be spectacularly good to travel with that company and not suffer in comparison. Ringworld as a story is no more than okay, but why the book works as well as it does is because the world is a remarkable creation. Some have said that it's more than that, and perhaps in 1970 it was, but flying buildings have been around for a long time, and once Lewis and co. land on the planet, the remarkable drops off somewhat, and Niven describes it in terms of comparisons to Earth anyway, saying that a harbour, for example, is the size of the Atlantic. But he lessens the impact of that scale when the explorers can travel as fast as they do. Even Prill, the saviour they discover, reveals that she has walked something like 100,000 miles from the edge of the world to the city. But that also becomes irrelevant when she reveals that thanks to her version of booster spice, she's effectively immortal. Niven, however, has a passion for his world, and the characters have a desire to explore, and that does translate. If the other books return to this world and tell a more vibrant or interesting story, then it would reduce this introduction to first act status and would go further to explaining its lasting appeal. It's surprising as well to discover that Pratchett wrote a satire of Ringworld, because with all its oddities and generally low stakes, this book would not take a lot of reworking to be a satire itself. However, it would also be very easy, reading this at a younger age, to have a real nostalgia for its weirdness. Like the world, the alien races are described with a genuine zeal and an obvious desire to put the alien in the alien. Nessus, the puppeteer with his 2 heads and 3 legs, is striking and weird. The revelation that he is a coward, but extremely dangerous when provoked, connects with another travel movie. It also contrasts with Speaks to Animals, the cat-like Kzinti, who is permanently dangerous and always short of temper. The 3 of them, with Lewis Wu, make a varied and complementary team. Each is likeable in their own way, and their interactions and the political ramifications of it are interesting, but the fact they remain unresolved in the finale shows that they are a mere aside to the story here, because the character that drives much of the Ringworld story is Teela Brown. Initially, Lewis approves her coming along because the 2 of them are in love, but Nessus picked her because he believes her unique bloodline would cause her to be incredibly lucky, that her luck would protect him. Halfway through their trek across the Ringworld, they realise what they should have realised at the start, is that if her luck was genuine, it would only protect her, and if the circumstances required it, it would protect her at their expense. At that point, it should be clear to the reader as well that she's on the expedition primarily to facilitate the revelation that the puppeteers have been interfering with the evolution of both human and Kzinti. Her luck initially appears mostly bad, leading her and them into a few scrapes that her luck then leads her out of. Ultimately, that leads to the question of free will and whether they have any or are ultimately just slaves to her luck. The question of agency that raises, while interesting on its own, also contrasts with the general positivity of their curiosity, the need to grow and explore, to reject ennui and the static. The book ends with Human and Kzinti both leaving the ring and expressing an interest in returning. In conclusion, Ringworld is a work of passion. There is a clear affection in the description of its extreme environments and amazing technology, whether it's the spaceships, mobile planets, supersonic flying bikes, or the ring itself. Everything seems meticulously thought out and mostly complements well with the oddities among the explorers. The aliens are wild, with the differences from the human crew sure to interest most readers. Among the 4 different personalities, Teela Brown, with her extraordinary looks and all-powerful luck, will be particularly memorable to fans of the book. The discussions of free will and humanity's need to explore and grow make for an interesting contrast, and no doubt are further explored in the other books in the series. But despite being crammed full of strangeness and ideas, the shortness of the book is its saviour for me, because the meandering story drifts through the well-rendered world despite the bike's supersonic speed. And I found it to be interesting, but never really engrossing. If, however, you like the sound of a travelogue with really strong sci-fi trappings, I think that this book will be for you. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe for more.